Say, hey, we're not Good evening. Thank you. Welcome to Grand Blanc Township Board of Trustees meeting for Tuesday, November 29th. If we could all rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Robertson, can you call the roll?
I would be happy to, Mr. Supervisor. Trustee Hugo?
Here.
Trustee Fike?
Here.
Trustee Raritan?
Here.
Trustee White is absent. Treasurer Kilmer?
Here.
Myself, I'm here, of course. Supervisor Bennett?
Yes.
6 members present, a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda. Ms. Hugo makes that motion, supported by Mr. Fike.
Motion by Hugo, supported by Fike for the agenda. Trustee Raritan?
Yes.
Trustee Hugo?
Yes.
Trustee Fike, excuse me.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer?
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett?
Yes.
6-0, motion passes.
Thank you. At this time, we will have public comment. Just a reminder that we will be having a public hearing for the Kings Point paving project. That'll be a little bit later in the meeting, and we'll take public comment during that public hearing for Kings Point. This public comment session is for anybody else that has a concern of other natures. We ask you to limit it to 3 minutes. If you could provide us your name and address, that would be helpful. So we'll open the microphone for anybody that wishes to make public comment. Please come on up. Don't be bashful. Anybody care to make public comment?
Nobody's making a comment.
There we go.
Good evening.
My name is Anthony Hudson. I live at 5119 Old Saybrook Road in Williamsburg Farms here in Grand Blanc Township. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. No one in here knows me yet, but I wanted to make an announcement that as of August 18th of this year, the FEC has approved my candidacy for President of the United States. So I want to be more involved in this community. I want to be well-known. I want to help with whatever projects that are going on in the community. And I want to let the people of this country know that it's time someone, even if it's Grand Blanc Township, stands up to defend the rights of this country and protects our Constitution. And I'm willing to do that for everyone in here and everyone out there. So I just want to say hello. If you have any questions when this is over, I have cards. I'll be willing to talk to any of you. And again, I apologize, but I'm really nervous. So that's really all I had to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Hudson. Anybody else wish to make public comment? Okay, seeing no further public comment, we'll close public comment, bring it back to the board. And at this time, on number 5 item, recognition, and that's Township Board will welcome and recognize Police Chief William Rennie as the next leader of the Grand Blanc Township Police Department. Where's Lieutenant Rennie?
Okay, keep talking. I've got to get my old book hose.
Okay, sounds good.
Polish up the
Polish up the brass, okay?
Yes. So we conducted a nationwide search for our chief of police, as all of you know. And we had people ask, hey, we have candidates internal, right? We said, yes. But even if we choose internal, it just solidifies the fact that we've got the top candidate when we open it up to a national search. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Chief, I said lieutenant earlier. Actually,
Understandable.
the media asked, hey, when does he start? I said, he's already started.
Hitting the ground running.
Midnight that night.
Yes.
But, so we'll have the swearing in here as soon as Dave gets back with
Okay.
the book of oaths.
All right,
We're
sounds good.
excited to have you. Any of our board members have any comments, concerns? We asked a few additional questions the last board meeting before you authorized.
Yeah, I was in the hot seat for a little while. Yeah, so I'll call my mom and dad up, Gladys and Bill, for the swearing in. The reason why I'm calling them up, obviously, is they're my parents. But, for real, I mean, they've been my leaders, they've been by my side the entire time. Whether it be, ooh, might get choked up a little bit. Coaching baseball, you know, my dad. They've taught me a lot of leadership skills throughout the year. Hard work, dedication to your organization, and fighting through adversity. So I could tell you what, my dad has been laid off. Just continues to keep going forward. So my mom, she's right there with me. For real, I mean, they've been my leaders. I will call both of them up to do the oath, and then also to do the badge pinning. So, come on up.
That's so nice.
You knew you'd get to me, didn't you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this is Mr. Bennett.
Yeah. Yeah, you got lost.
All righty.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you? Okay. All righty. If you would, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Chief of Police
and I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of the Chief of Police
in and for the Township of Grand Blanc,
in and for the Township of Grand Blanc,
County of Genesee,
County of Genesee,
and the State of Michigan,
and the State of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
That's so nice.
I got a mess time, don't worry.
Oh,
Two thousand two oh two two. I need you to sign right there if
Okay.
you would. Very good.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
yes. Okay.
So the last few years have been a little bit challenging with COVID and the shutdown, and our board met remotely for probably close to a year. And we had to keep hiring police officers during that time period, obviously. Glad that we could. We're looking for more too, right? But during that time, we didn't do the official swearing in, or at least public swearing in. We did it kind of behind police doors and made sure we got everybody sworn in. But we wanted to recognize some of those individuals that during that time period that we swore in. So, Chief, would you like to come forward and bring forward your officers that we'd like to recognize this evening?
Yeah. So first, I do have notes, and like you, sir, I'm a little bit nervous too because this is my very first time. But first off, I would like to recognize the families of these officers. So I'm going to go a little bit off script here. So, but I look around this room and I see the sacrifice that many of you guys made to allow your loved ones to be here with us today. So the sacrifices include, taking extra duties away from home, watching the kids, extra homework, or those assignments that we frequently have when we call up our spouse and say, hey, I'm going away to training this week. See you next week. So thank you all for letting your loved ones be a part of us. So our organization can continue to go on. Secondly, I would like to say it's an honor to be a police officer. It's an even greater honor to be a Grand Blanc Township police officer. Due to our reputation of being an outstanding agency, I'll introduce you to 5 officers here today. 3 of them came from other reputable agencies within the state of Michigan. That is due to our lateral transfer program that we have. So that just shows that these officers want to be a part of this great organization that we have built. So I'm going to honor the newest members of the Grand Blanc Township Police Department by conducting a badge pinning after the oath of office that they also take. When I do this, the badge represents the willingness to sacrifice one's safeties for others. The Grand Blanc Township represents our core values, which is integrity, compassion, courage, honesty, respect, and fairness. So be proud of who you are and what you represent. And then wear the badge with honor and for those who came before us. So today I'm going to introduce Officer Nick Jones. If you could come up here. His date of hire was May 13th, 2021. So Officer Nick Jones came to us with 13 years of law enforcement experience, where he was a defensive tactics instructor, and he was a field training officer, and his union president. That just shows the quality of candidates that we're getting here at Grand Blanc Township. He holds an associate's degree from Mott Community College, and I could say he's literally hit the ground running. So within his first couple of years here, or first year here, Officer Nick Jones has seen several handguns from traffic stops, often late at night, and that's the type of officers that we have representing our organization while everyone is sleeping, providing the safety of our residents. He's also recently seized 67 grams of methamphetamine on a traffic stop, so we're very proud to have Officer Nick Jones with us here today. Secondly, I would like to call Officer Ryan Streichert. His date of hire was March 15th of this year. Officer Streichert comes to us with 8.5 years of law enforcement experience, where he was the department's defensive tactics instructor, again. So we're stealing, I guess I could say that we're stealing these folks and their instructors at their organizations, they're leaders. So Officer Streichert is a member of the Grand Blanc Township Bicycle Unit, and he enjoys mentoring our new officers. He really likes bringing them in, taking them under his wing to develop them. He also has his bachelor's degree from the University of Michigan. Next, I would like to call Alvin Locke. Alvin Locke's date of hire was May 16th of this year. He graduated from the Law Enforcement Regional Training Academy in May, and then instantly joined our force. He was well sought after. I mean, we battled many, many agencies to get him. Even while he was already spoken for, there were still agencies trying to steal officers. And that's not a lie. So he holds a bachelor's degree from the Great Lakes Maritime Academy. He has served our country for the past 2 years in the United States Marine Corps. And is still serving our country because he is still active as a Marine Corps Reserve. I recently sat down with Officer Locke, and we had a nice conversation in my office. I could see that he's a true leader. It's not a surprise due to his family members who are also here today. Mr. and Mrs. Locke. I could see in speaking with Officer Locke, that he's really been developing into a true leader. A lot of informal leadership skills that he's already bringing to the table. So thank you. Next, I'd like to call Officer Justin McTaggart. Officer McTaggart's date of hire was June 24th of this year. He's a graduate from the Oakland County Police Academy. In June of 2022, he holds an associate's degree from Macomb Community College. Officer McTaggart also has served our country in the United States Marine Corps for 4 years. So Officer McTaggart instantly began building relationships with our department. He's known as one of the funniest guys on the police department. Making jokes. So he really fits in well with us, and he's really eager to learn everything about police work. So thank you, Justin, for being here. And our latest new hire, Michael O'Brien. Officer O'Brien's date of hire was October 28th, 2022. Literally just about 4 weeks ago. Officer McBrien comes to our agency with 10 years of law enforcement experience, where he was also a defensive tactics instructor. He was a field training officer, and he was a standard field sobriety test instructor, teaching cops about field sobriety testing and picking up drunk drivers. Officer O'Brien is a trained A-RIDE officer, which is Advanced Roadside Impaired Driving Enforcement, to detect drug driving, and he's also a drug recognition expert. Officer O'Brien holds a bachelor's degree from Ferris State University and is also a certified paramedic and a certified fireman. And Chief, no, you cannot see him. Officer O'Brien, once again, he's hit the ground running too. He's been here for 4 weeks, I remind you. He's already has 3 drunk driving arrests and has conducted 3 drug recognition expert evaluations. So thank you for being here, Mike. Dave, I'll turn it over to you, and then we'll call a rep up to do the badge pin.
Very good.
Thank you, Chief.
If you all would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the office of police officer in and for the Township of Grand Blanc, County of Genesee, and the State of Michigan, according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Very good. Congratulations, gentlemen. Chief, they're all yours.
All right. We will do a badge pinning. What we'll do is we'll have the officer call up a representative of their choosing. We'll let the officer introduce that representative and the reason why they called him up here. So we'll start with Officer Jones.
I'd like to talk to my father, Tim Jones.
I got all these names on here, so here's yours, Nick.
Chief. I heard that.
Officer Stryker. I like to call my wife Jessica. She's my rock. We got a handful at home. And for me, why I do what I do. So I appreciate it. Burn. Look at my dad, Albert Locke.
Listen, I recognize, I remember.
Yeah, remember, yeah. As easy as.
I'd like to call my girlfriend Haley Evans. Calling her up because she's been in sport with me through a career change, police academy.
Need to use belt.
Officer O'Brien. All right, I want to thank everybody for coming out on this special occasion. So it means a lot to us, these guys, and the organization. Thank you.
Now, Chief Rennie, Chief Rennie, we expect to do this every 6 months.
We got more coming in the next couple weeks.
Okay, good. Okay, what a great evening. Do we want to take a minute to take a break? And I don't know if everybody wants to sit through the rest of the meeting, but we'll take a couple minutes for those that want to leave the room, and then we're going to get started again. So if you want to leave the room and congratulate them, we appreciate you coming.
Okay.
Go back at it. All right. Item, let's see here,
We have a public hearing,
going
6.
to have a public hearing regarding Kings Point Special Assessment District. Mr. Laddie or Mr. Limita?
We're here to open up the public hearing. You're going to give the opportunity for the folks in Kings Point to be heard. Again, we were approached by residents of Kings Point. They did take petitions out and circulated them. They have come back, and Mr. Sears, what percentage? Above 51% at any rate. Okay, so it's now time to hold this public hearing and give folks the opportunity to address the board and share their thoughts with you on whether they wish to see this special assessment district be created or move forward.
Time is 7:29 PM.
Okay. There's no comments from the board or concerns. We'll move to public hearing. Okay. We'll open the floor for our public hearing at this time. And we welcome anyone to speak with regard to this public hearing on Kings Point Special Assessment District. Does anybody wish to speak? Good evening.
Hi, my name is Rochelle Huff. My address is 6642 Kings Point Road.
6642 Kings Point,
Yes,
and it's Rochelle
Rochelle Huff.
Huff.
Yes.
H-O-U-G-H?
Huff.
Rochelle Huff.
So I have a few areas of expertise. Roads isn't one of them. I don't even know how this works. If it went to a vote, I guess 67% kind of outnumbers me. But I just have a few things I'd like to say. First of all, when the Thread Creek Bridge project on Belsey Road went on for about a year, that put a big strain on Kings Point. And I know the way it works in Michigan, which is unlike a lot of other places, it's only the homeowners that are responsible for paying for it. Seems unfair to me. I don't know if there's any recourse or anybody else we can ask to help. But there were hundreds of cars a day extra going through Kings Point for a year, and I think that's just unfair to us, and again, I don't know what we can do about it, but just want to share what's in my mind. Second of all, there are some very bad places that definitely need to be repaired. I feel like a repair project could probably be cheaper than a whole redo. We're still in COVID where, labor costs are up, product costs are up, transportation costs are up. The timing to me seems strange that we would try to push this through right now when everything is really expensive as far as just the project goes. And then if you want to talk about expenses for a family, they talk about groceries being up, gas being up, but really everything is up. And while Kings Point used to be the neighborhood known as the rich people, it's not. We're working families that are just, trying to make a living, put our kids through college, all that good stuff. And it's just, I think it's horrible timing. I don't know how 67% of the people want to do this. If they do, obviously I'm outnumbered, but to me, the timing just doesn't make any sense at all. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to make a comment? Sorry, my microphone was off. Does anybody else wish to make public comment? Okay, seeing no further comment, we'll close public comment and bring it back.
7:32 PM.
Yes. Okay. Yes,
Just a question.
sure.
Would this project be eligible for some of that money from the county?
Well, I don't know. Okay. And we've got the resolution coming up here in a few minutes. Yep, but I believe we're asking for that. Okay. With that, we'll move on to approval of the consent agenda. If somebody would care to make that motion, Ms. Hugo makes the motion, supported by Mr. Fike.
Motion by Hugo, supported by Fike. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
6-0, motion passes.
Okay, item 8, under old business, our mission statement discussion. Actually, we had a meeting with our committee consisting of Trustee Fike, Trustee White, and myself to discuss our mission statement. And I'm looking for a copy of it in the packet here, but I see, it's right on the main sheet here. So anyways, our statement language would be the following. Delivering premier services to Grand Blanc Township through excellent customer service and continuous improvement while encouraging growth. So one more time, delivering premier services to Grand Blanc Township through excellent customer service and continuous improvement while encouraging growth. Sound
Sounds good.
good with everybody? I know we've had a couple of weeks to mull it over. Anything, Clerk Robertson?
Well, it sounds good to me, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay. Well, would somebody care to make the motion that we adopt this as our mission statement?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Fike, seconded by Dr. Reardon.
One moment. Motion by Fike, supported by Raridan.
Yes.
Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
6-0, motion passes.
Thank you. Item 9, new business. The board will consider Resolution 22-31 to create a special assessment district for resurfacing certain roads in the Kings Point subdivision. Mr. Sears?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Working with Kings Point residents for a few months now, started midsummer to get this project up and running. By the time we got the road commission quotes done and the project scope narrowed down quite nicely, they expeditiously got this petition approved overwhelmingly by nearly 67%, which is a very good turnout, one of the most positive I've seen. So tonight before you have a resolution to begin the process of establishing the special assessment district. All the residents have been notified. This project will be part of the matching fund program that Genesee County Road Commission just introduced. So 20% of the project will be paid for by Genesee County Road Commission and the township.
Any questions, concerns? I understand, the costs have risen, as one of our residents had mentioned, but it doesn't appear they're coming down anytime soon. As we wait, one of the things we've learned over time is that it just gets more costly in terms of the road deteriorating further and
Right.
more problems happening because of that, I guess.
Yeah, and I will say that you're correct. The cost of projects are not decreasing, and they probably will not decrease. This is a resurfacing project. It's not a reconstruction project. So these residents had the forethought to get going on something before it got to a reconstruction project, where they could have seen between a $15,000 and $20,000 assessment. So this is the proactive approach that we like to see, and hopefully we can encourage throughout the township.
You're right, we do have some neighborhoods that are over 20,000, maybe even over 21,000, I
Absolutely.
recall. And that was a couple of years ago, and they're only going to get worse. So
That's correct.
it does sound like it's proactive as opposed to waiting till it's the $20,000 bill.
Mr. Chairman, could
Yes.
I, just to confirm one thing, we have in our resolution an estimated cost currently of $982,000. That does not include the
Correct.
Road Commission's programs. Is that
Correct. The resolution does not include the discounted price, because we didn't have that confirmation at the time.
And so notwithstanding whatever costs may rise in the future, the folks will see a reduction, at least in that 982.
Correct.
Thanks.
Which is pretty significant because it's probably going to be the first community that's going to see that 20% reduction
Absolutely.
due to our contribution in the county. So very substantial. It's a first come, first serve type thing too. So if we didn't act on it this time, we may not get it.
Right.
So we're already awarded?
Well, we've notified the county apparently.
We've notified the county. At your next board meeting, you'll adopt the local road agreements, which will cement that in, but they have penciled us in for that. We have until December 31st, basically, to get them the approval, which we'll do at the December 13th meeting.
And I understand nobody likes paying for these projects, but it won't get done otherwise. So, Okay, I think motion, have we had a maker of the motion yet?
Okay. I'll make the motion if you like, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay,
And
Support.
supported by,
Ms. Hugo.
supported by Hugo. All righty. Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
6-0, motion passes.
Okay, thank you. All right, item B, the board will consider a motion to authorize the township superintendent to negotiate and enter into a contract with Frank Rewald and Sons to be the construction manager for the new Fire Station Number 1 and DPS facility. Mr. Sears?
I'll just briefly introduce our owner's representative, Andy Fontaine. He's here from Plant Moran Cressa. You've met him several times now. At these regular intervals, you'll be getting updates from them, from Plant Moran, on our progress with the design of the new fire station and DPS building. I personally say it's going very well, and we're making good progress. So before you tonight is the hiring of our construction manager, and Andy will go through that process and what our next steps are. And Scott, you have the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Sears. Good evening, Board. Okay, I have a quick update for you regarding the new DPW and fire station program. Click to the next slide, please. We'll cover the design bid build process overview with you. We'll take a look at what we've done since our last update. We do have some information, as Mr. Sears alluded to, regarding the construction manager contract award recommendation. And then we'll talk about what's next, and then just do a quick recap on the program schedule. Next, please. So just, I believe this may be repeat information, but just wanted to kind of give you a quick overview of this design bid build process. The last time we were before you, we brought forward a recommendation to engage with the architect and engineer of record for the program. We've since executed the agreement and have moved into the design process for this program. The design process really broken down into 3 different steps: schematic design, design development, and construction documents. These various stages allow us to vet and verify information, which will ultimately arrive at construction documents, which we'll use then to engage with the subcontracting community to receive bids and bring forward a recommendation for you to modify your construction manager's contract with what we call a guaranteed maximum price amendment, or a GMP amendment. Right now, we're in the middle of the schematic design phase. We actually have our 3rd workshop coming up this Thursday, and as you'll see later in the presentation, we're looking to wrap up the schematic design in the middle of December, approximately December 14th. One item of note, we took it upon ourselves to engage with the construction manager and bring them in at this point in time for a couple of reasons, but mainly to allow them to provide you what we've commonly referred to as pre-construction services, or estimating. And what this will allow us to do is we've established a construction budget for the program. By having Frank Rewald and Sons involved at this point in the program, they'll be able to provide us with real-time data on the design to date, make sure that we stay within that specified project budget for construction. We'll then move on to design development, construction documents. We'll enter into a bidding period, and then we enter into what's commonly referred to as construction administration, and then obviously close out, where we activate the space, conduct a punch list, and hand you over the keys to operate. Next slide, please. So what we've done since the last update we provided, we facilitated an AE, our architect engineer kickoff meeting. We've held 2 design workshops. We've worked with your planning department. That was really more of a way to start that line of communication, to understand what their needs and expectations will be throughout that process of getting the site plan and the building approved through your department. We've also worked to develop a request for proposal for the construction management services. We developed a criteria-based selection process and ranked those proposals, conducted interviews, and tonight we're here to present to you a award recommendation for those services. This is a high-level summary of the 6 firms that submitted proposals for the construction management services. We used as I referred to before, a criteria-based selection system where we used weighted criteria, such items as relevant municipal experience, their project approach, project fees, proposed team and staff, exceptions to the contract, and their EMR score or their safety record score. We use that information to then develop a short list of firms for an interview process. We interviewed 3 firms, and at the conclusion of the interview, it was determined that Frank Rewald & Son was the winning firm, as they scored highest in that criteria-based selection scoring. The next page is a continuation of the summary for the other 3 firms that had submitted proposals. If you want to go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So it's JS Vig, PCI Daly, and Sorensen. Next page, please. So again, based on that criteria-based selection, the project team's recommending that the construction management services contract be awarded to Frank Rewald & Sons. The CM fees, approximately 2.2%, and their pre-construction fees, $45,700. Again, those estimating services that you're going to be engaging them with. And then we'll, obviously, as I mentioned, we'll bring forward other costs and subcontractor costs or hard construction costs forward for you for further consideration and approval in a guaranteed maximum price amendment once the bidding process for construction is completed. Next slide, please. So just a quick look ahead at kind of what's next. We're here tonight for the construction management award. We have other professional services that we'll be working with the project team to procure, things like topo survey, furniture vendor, commissioning agent, material testing, so on and so forth. We'll be conducting a process, either RFP or by engaging for proposals. We'll bring those forward to the project team and bring those items forward for your review and consideration and approval as they're available. We have, as I mentioned, we have a schematic design workshop coming up this week. We have 2 more before we complete the schematic design, and then we'll work with Frank Rewald & Son, pending your approval, to develop that first cost estimate, make sure that we are within that specified budget before we move on to the next phase, which is design development. Last slide here is just a real quick recap of the project schedule. So as I mentioned, we're looking to complete schematic design in the middle of December. Then we'll move into design development, construction documents. We'll be looking to kick off the bidding period for the program approximately end of June. And that'll take us mainly through beginning of August, and construction will start mid-August and conclude in fall of 2024. And that's my update for you this evening. Any questions?
Mr. Fike?
Regarding the design, I noticed you have several workshops. Where do you begin with that process, and how does that work?
As far as...
How do you know what it'll look like, you know?
That's a good question. So just to I try and keep this brief, what we did was we worked with Mr. Sears, the rest of the project team, to vet and verify what we call a space program, or a program for the project that was previously developed by another group called Redstone Architects. We take that information and then we give that to the, we incorporate that into the RFP for AE services. And then once the architect is on board, so they know kind of space, you know, what the program will include, what it won't include. And then as we work through the schematic design, they're going to bring forward various floor plans for review and consideration by the project team. And then once we get past that schematic phase, we'll start to see some elevations and other items where you can start to visualize what the exterior of the building will look like. And then once we get past that design development, which is the second phase, you're kind of locked in on your floor plan, what the exterior of the building will look like, and then we really start to fill in the details and the specifications and things of that matter. Is that helpful?
Yes, but I mean, do you, say, oh, wow, we did a job in Livonia and this one is just the same size, maybe this would be something to be considered, or doesn't it work like that?
Well, it's really driven by that space program. So if you have a finish or a look, if you will, that you'd like to consider, we did do site tours at various locations around the area. Livonia was one of them for the new DPW facility. And so we'll work with Mr. Sears and the chief to understand if there are items that they'd like to see incorporated from a design aspect and an aesthetic from the road if that's preferred.
Good.
Mr. Lemata?
So Trustee Fike, I'm trying to think of the year, was it 2017 that we had Daniel Redstone's group come in, and that process to develop that space needs assessment, really you had every part of the team, everybody who's in the DPS and fire, sit down and talk about what's important, what's going on, what about locker rooms, what about this space. So when that space needs assessment was created, it took months of work where they developed even block diagrams. Does this make sense? Does this work? What's new in the industry? So it really involved the entire team, both everybody from the DPW, everybody from the fire department, and really that was how we developed the concept of what kind of square footage we needed to accomplish what we needed as part of the overall campus plan. And then for obvious reasons, it took a few years before we got to the place of being able to, okay, now we're prepared to move forward. So even though it was a few years old, were there some changes? Absolutely. In just a short space of a few years, there were some changes. In fact, when I first started looking at Redstone to do the space needs assessment, again, this was probably 2017, I think. But there had been one done when they did the space needs assessment to build the new police building. And it was interesting to look back and see what was said at that time for space and how much it had changed by the time we did it in 2017. Now we're at 2022. You go back and look at it, things have changed again. Industry standards have changed. The way you set up the locker rooms for shower facilities and things, more unisex where they have their individual shower stalls and you don't have to have men's and women's locker room. There's a lot of different things that have happened in the industry. So this really goes back to like 2017 in preparation for getting where we are today.
As far as the look and that, I think the board will have input though on what that look, I mean, while the space needs an assessment and what have you is paramount that the staff help determine what that is. I believe the board's going to have input on how the final look and feel of the building on the exterior anyways.
We'd be happy to have that, as we get to that part where we're talking about exteriors, it's going to be like split face block. I mean,
Right.
again, we know what the board told us that they wanted. It's not an industrial looking
Right.
solid cement poured building.
Exactly.
We want something that is going to look good in the north end and tell people that we've made an investment here, just like we want other interests to make their investment in the north end of the township.
Right.
And
Yes.
Andy has heard that from us.
Correct. And if I could, we mentioned that we engaged with your planning department,
Mm-hmm.
building department. That was really to understand what those standards are, so that way we
Okay.
can start to incorporate them now.
Right.
And then that way, we're not having to do rework,
Sure.
later in the process.
Right? Okay. Any concerns, questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Motion would be in order?
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Motion by
Ms. Hugo?
Now, what are we voting on again?
This is item 9B, motion to consider authorize the township superintendent to negotiate and enter into a contract with Frank Rewall and Sons to be the construction manager for the new fire station number 1 and DPS facility.
I'll support it.
Motion by
Hugo.
Hugo, supported by Bennett. Very good. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raritan.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett?
Yes.
6-0, motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Item C, the board will consider Resolution 22-32, authorizing the superintendent to reject the 2022 tax reverted properties from Genesee County Treasurer's Office. Mr. Lemata?
Every year, we receive tax reverted properties disposition through the Genesee County Treasurer's Office. Basically, what it means is that it's a list of properties in our unit that were not previously sold by the foreclosing governmental unit, Genesee County. So that means they put them up to that annual auction, nobody bid on it, this property is available. We always get the first right of refusal. We can take this property if we had some use for it. We always take a look at those from an aspect, is there anything currently or in the future that we might need from a DPW standpoint? Is it important to us from a water sewer infrastructure? Is it important to us from a recreational park standpoint? So we look at all of those, it goes through all the departments, and if there is no value to the township, then we ask the board to pass the resolution rejecting that property. Otherwise, we become the owners of it. This particular property at 1030 East Maple Avenue we already had a code violation in the works, and we're prepared to go in and do some damage control and put this thing on the tax roll. This came up before that happened, which was good. We were able to stop that enforcement action because we would have just ended up eating the cost of doing that. What happens when you reject this is it goes to the Genesee County Land Bank, and then the Land Bank has the opportunity to fix up the property and then market it and sell it down the road. One of the things when you look at a demolition of a property, and again, I don't know this particular property, but a lot of older properties, when this happens, they have asbestos cleanup and those kind of environmental concerns. It can be incredibly expensive for a local unit of government to get in there. We do not want to be in the real estate business, especially when you look at the costs that are associated with it. So my recommendation to the board is to adopt Resolution 2232, rejecting the tax reverted property, and asking myself to inform the Office of the Treasurer that we are going to reject the property at 1030 East Maple Road.
Do you care to make that motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Motion by Raritan,
Yep.
I have a
supported
question.
by
Sorry.
Mr. Meek.
I have a question.
Is there support for the motion first, or?
I'll support the motion.
Okay. All right, we'll have some discussion.
Can I do it
Right, sure. Go ahead.
before? So, is this house in a neighborhood, and could there be concern that it would fall into disrepair and become a nuisance?
It is in disrepair, and it is a nuisance, and it is in a neighborhood on Maple. That's why we already had a building code violation enforcement action on it. The most important thing is whether we want to be the ones who pay to put that property, or do you want the Genesee County Land Bank who then markets those properties? My recommendation is to allow that to go to the Land Bank. This is what they specialize in. This is what they do.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, just one
Yes.
more comment. I think the property to the east is also been subject to our code enforcement efforts. And this one's pending in circuit court, so it's a little bit different. And so there isn't going to be any impact, adverse impact to the neighborhood, particularly to the east. And then to the west, you have a functional commercial property on the corner of Maple and Fenton. And the one thing I want to underscore with Dennis is when we go to, one of the things we'll do when we go in on these enforcement actions is we'll try to compel the property owners to make the repairs and make the cleanup. If they won't do it by a certain date, then we get the authority to go ahead and hire contractors or agents to clean up the property and then place that on the tax roll. Dennis hit it right on the head. If that property is in any stage of forfeiture, then we don't want to be left holding the bag because the court will wipe that lien right off the record. Okay. So we caught this one right on time. And I think to answer your concern, there isn't going to be any negative impact to the property. I don't think on the west, but certainly not the east.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt
No
the
problem.
flow of
It's not an
voting.
That's okay.
We want to have all the questions answered.
Okay, record roll call, Mr. Supervisor?
Yes, please.
Okay, trustee Raridan,
Yes.
trustee Fike,
Yes.
trustee Hugo,
Yes.
myself, yes. Treasurer Kilmer,
Yes.
Supervisor Bennett,
Yes.
6-0, motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Item D, the board will consider a motion to renew the Highland on-base document management software annual maintenance for 2023 through Datum Evolve in the amount of $21,918.75 and authorize the township superintendent to execute all related contracts and documents. Mr. Lemonna?
Your IT director, Nathan Loosevelt, is going to walk you through this. And again, this is the on-base document solutions. This is just their annual contractual services amount. It's budgeted for every year. We move forward with it, but Nate is here.
Any questions? It's just
Yep.
to let you know it's the standard annual maintenance.
Is it higher than it was last year?
It's about, well, I think I have the old one. I think it's about $1,000 more.
Okay.
I do not have it, but I can let you know.
I'm fine with it.
Okay. Any questions? Okay,
Is a motion in order, Mr.
It is.
Supervisor? Then I will make that motion.
okay. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Ms. Hugo.
Support by Ms. Hugo. Item 9D, trustee Hugo,
Yes.
trustee Fike,
Yes.
trustee Raridan,
Yes.
treasurer Kilmer,
Yes.
myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett,
Yes.
6-0, motion passes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Loosevelt. Item E, the board will consider a motion to approve the purchase of 2 zero-turn mowers for Creasy Bicentennial Park from Atherton Road Sales in the amount of $29,598 and declare the 2019 Cub Cadet Pro and the 2003 X-Mart mowers surplus and authorize the superintendent to execute all contracts. Good evening. Hi.
So the mowers that we currently have, we have to constantly take them to Nick. They constantly need to be fixed. They're just not designed for the commercial use and the constant use that we use it for. And we have funds from, millage funds left over from this year. So we're hoping to purchase them this year, and it'll be a cost savings for us because we know they're going up 15% if we wait, so.
I think somebody told me too that Nick actually made the phone call and found 2 of them for the price of 1.
Yes, the one we originally were planning to buy next year, yeah, was a lot more expensive, so.
That's a great find. You don't get that very often.
Yes.
And zero-turn mowers.
We're thankful for Nick for making all those calls.
One of the recommendations from Nick was that we standardize our mowers instead of having one of each flavor out there, because from their standpoint, now that they perform all the maintenance on our equipment, the number of belts you carry and things like that, this makes it a lot easier as we start to standardize and use truly commercial mowers. And again, a lot of the equipment came over from the old Parks and Recreation Commission, and I think they did a lot of, this was the best deal on this particular mower at the time, and that's how we ended up with a mismatch of equipment we have. This does move us towards the recommended brand that came from our lead mechanic.
Mr. Supervisor?
Yes.
I haven't the foggiest idea. What is a zero-turn mower?
You know, when you see those guys out there that can spin on a dime and go around those trees and
Like they're riding them, like standing up?
yeah.
Well,
that's kinda
both sitting and standing up.
Yeah.
What's that?
But
Oh, it's a sit-down.
it can spin right around on a dime so that it's a zero turn. You don't have to take like my old John Deere,
Okay.
I have to put it in reverse to do the same thing.
I see, okay, well, thank you for that clarification. I'm not particularly mechanically inclined, so I thought I'd ask. Thank you.
Good question. Any other concerns? Making the motion, back to Rita? Okay, supported by,
Motion by Raridan, supported by Fike.
yes.
Okay. Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Raridan.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
6-0, motion passes.
Great job saving some money on that, too. Thank you, Nick. Item F, the board will consider Resolution 22-33, updating the 2023 fee schedule.
You adopted a resolution approving the 2023 fee schedule on November 15th meeting along with your budget. That fee schedule was in there to support the fees that we had built your budget around. However, after a review, Mr. Sears caught a portion of it that didn't go through, and I think it was on water, the commodity fee, Mr. Sears?
Yes, after it went through, we noticed that the commodity fee was not updated. If you recall, we had a conversation, we're increasing water and sewer rates this year to support our capital needs, and I had increased everything but that commodity fee. So we revised the sheet and presented it here tonight. There is another increase in there for a meter reader that we got the price increase after the fee was, or the fee schedule was adopted. So we included that too, just to have a clean copy.
Okay, any questions, Mr. Sears? Somebody care to make the motion regarding the fee schedule? Mr. Fike?
Motion by Fike.
Support by Bedecker.
Reardon. Okay, very good. Trustee Hugo.
Yes.
Trustee Fike.
Yes.
Trustee Reardon.
Yes.
Treasurer Kilmer.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Supervisor Bennett.
Yes.
6-0, motion passes.
Okay, future agenda items. Anybody have anything that they want to make sure we cover at our next meeting?
We've got an event on Friday?
We do. We have the official Christmas tree lighting on Friday.
Did I steal your thunder?
No, not at all. We've got our interim park director here. I don't know if you want to speak anything on that. What time to start?
Yeah, let's.
Sonia?
It's at 5:30, goes till 8. The tree lighting will be exactly at 8, and then the fireworks will follow right after. So from 5:30 to 8, we have pictures with Santa. Elsa will be there. Olaf will be there, the snowman. We got the Grinch. We'll have wagon rides around the trail lights. This year, the path's a little bit different, so we have just shy of a mile that you can walk around or take the wagon around. So we're really excited about it. I know everyone's been working super hard, so we hope everyone can come.
What's the forecast?
It's gonna be like 46 and overcast.
Well, that isn't bad.
As long as it's not rainy or windy, we're fine.
Very
How
good.
much is it to get in?
It's free. Everything there is free. So, yep.
We like free.
Yes.
Yeah.
We love free.
It's usually quite a crowd, so get there early.
Yes.
Is the entrance just Grand Blanc Road?
Yeah. So if you come in on Grand Lake Road, it's just one-way traffic back to Reed Road, but Reed Road it's open too, and then soccer fields. So either way.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Sonia. Mr. Lehman, anything with regard to future agenda items you want to make note of, or?
We will have a report from your IT director. He actually had it prepared this evening. If he was still here, I'd just have him do it right now and save him from having to come back and report to the board at the next meeting. He asked if he could add it, and but that was today, so I didn't know how long the meeting would go. If we had, if somebody runs out to the parking lot and catches him, we could make him run in and do it. But we'll update you on that. You guys probably saw the email. Nate was here along with Neary on, was that Sunday night? Yeah, Sunday night, where they were here about 8:30 because we started having some issues. A piece of equipment from Comcast had gone down. They worked through it, got it up and running by 10 to make sure the police department wasn't impacted. From there, he was here. I saw one email going out, I think about 1:37 in the morning, as they worked around while they're waiting for this equipment from Comcast. It just shows you that these guys continue to work at a moment's notice, make sure they're keeping us up and running, make sure it's critical that our police department communications are up and running. He has, his whole team comes together and works through these things. So we asked him to provide an update. Again, part of your strategic plan, we want to make sure that we're safe, secure, we're staying up to date on technology. We all acknowledged when we did that assessment that we were quite a bit behind the times. I'm really happy to say that we've made absolutely tremendous progress in moving that forward, but you will hear that from Nate. And then again, we've got the meeting scheduled for the North End Business Group on the next week. It's next week anyway. And so we thought we would update you on the progress of that. So that's 2 items off the
Tuesday morning.
plan.
Tuesday morning.
And just so you know, I will not be at that meeting. I have a prior engagement.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Planning Commission, Ms. Hugo, anything to report on?
Our next meeting is December 1st. The November meeting was canceled. So that's this week. That's this week,
Right.
December.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Crazy, huh?
It is.
Mr. Fike, anything on Metro Lines?
No, but I have a question
Sure.
for the fire chief. Yes. I know it's kind of unusual, but, you know, there was a big fire at Woodfield Apartments. How did that go? Is everything all right? Did we learn anything from that?
Go right ahead, I'm sorry.
How did it end up?
It's
everything
still under
okay? I mean-
investigation. Our investigators are working with the insurance carrier to determine the cause. They've narrowed some things down, but I'm not at liberty to mention anything until we talk with the insurance carrier.
Nobody hurt?
No injuries whatsoever. There was a French bulldog that was rescued off from the 3rd floor balcony as fire was coming over its head, but it was fine. No problems with that one at all. So,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Old reporter in me.
all right.
Actually, Mr. Lehman and I were at a meeting at the 911 call center when evidently the call came in because they came into our meeting. One of the supervisors in the call center came into our meeting there and said, hey, you had a major fire going in Grand Blanc Township, and kept us posted on what was going on. So it sounded pretty dire, and sounds like our fire department was able to keep it contained, and could have been a lot worse. Yeah, so please give our best to your crew for keeping that fire under control. Okay, Dr. Reardon, anything with the police? Okay, we're doing a great job recruiting, it looks like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we swore in 5 people and a chief.
Yeah.
What more do you want, right?
How do you beat that, right? Mr. Kilmer, anything with the Treasurer's Department to report on?
I believe everything's up to date that we're.
Okay. Clerk Robertson?
Nothing to report, sir.
Just a couple of mentions. First off, I want to say, you mentioned our IT department being here late. We have such a dedicated staff. Our staff, I make a point to go around and talk to everybody. That's my job, right? Just kind of schmooze sometimes. But the thing that I see is what a dedicated staff we have. I can't say that I don't know of any of them that are just, people that punch the time clock. They're here till the work is done, and they're here early. I've got one example of somebody who remained nameless, but they get here, they don't want to belabor their work. They get here early just so that they can, talk with other staff members, whatever, before their shift even starts. But really is a tight-knit group of people here. I've never seen the staff morale better. And, I credit Mr. Limita and our staff, and whether it's HR and Melissa and everybody that helps make that happen. But very proud to be affiliated with this township, and I think we've got a great crew, but people work together to save taxpayer dollars. It could be our mechanics, trying to find mowers, trying to fix things rather than buying new. And that's the way all of our departments work, is they work to fix things instead of just going out and buying something new. And I'm just very impressed every day with our staff. We are going to have a Christmas party, which all the board members I want to invite. We're going to have that. I think it's on the 15th, is it, Ms. Roberts? December 15th, I think at 11:30. All the board members are invited. We have it catered in. Just with regard to some other board issues, 911, Mr. Limita and I, a couple others met with 911 IT person and the director. couple weeks ago, and we're going to have our own meeting here with our committee to recap that information and probably be bringing something to the board here in the next month or so. So we're continuing to study that issue and make some progress, I believe. I spent the day today with our school strategic planning session, and it goes tomorrow as well. The strategic plan that we have is great, obviously, but the school updates theirs about every 5 years, and privileged to have been invited to participate in that again this year. So some exciting things happening there. I don't know if you've seen some of the developments over at the school grounds with the new construction, but the stands are just incredible. It looks like a college football stadium, right? Right in downtown Grand Blanc. It's looking pretty awesome. With that, Attorney Laddie, anything to report on?
Just two things. I sent out communication regarding a tax tribunal case, and so if you had a chance to take a look at it, anybody has any questions for me, feel free to contact me either by phone or email. And then, as I mentioned, your staff will be doing some analysis to decide if there's an additional step we need to take. And then finally, one last thing regarding your comments on morale, and all those things that you said are true, but you also left out, I think, a piece, and that is you guys, too. I think that the harmony in the board, and particularly Supervisor Bennett, I think that goes a long way toward filtering down through the staff. And so don't forget yourselves.
Thank you, David. Okay, Mr. Lemata?
Just a quick update on the negotiations with the police department. We continue to meet. We met with the sergeants group. I spoke with Captain Bowserman, and he and I are going to get together Wednesday or Thursday to walk through any issues that we might have with the executive command agreement. Again, we did have a mediated session. We've got another one scheduled for December 5th. It's a good mediator. It's between us and patrol. We try to find a happy medium. If we can't find that through mediation, then they'll file for arbitration, and we will move forward for arbitration. I hope we don't have to get there, but if we do, we do. It's just one of the things that, they're guaranteed the right to go to arbitration, and I feel very confident in our ability. If we do go to arbitration, I think that we're going to be just fine. But you never know what happens when you sit in front of an arbitrator, so it's always better if you can come to an agreement and get it solved ourselves. We all recognize that the only issue that we really have at all is with what we're going to do about the MERS defined benefit pension plan. It's unaffordable for both sides. There's an answer out there, and we're trying to find it. We're making progress, but we also have to be prepared for the inevitability that we go to arbitration. My goal is to still get those completed and done before the expiration of December 31st. If not, the next time we get together, I'll most likely be reporting that we are seeking dates for arbitration. I will caution you that probably means we will, in the best case outset with the time it takes to get arbitration, especially as we're still on the downside of COVID, where they were backed up a year to 2 years, is that we get this thing completed sometime the next, 9 or 10 months, best case scenario, if we go through arbitration, just so the board is prepared for what that looks like. Speaking of the police department, a big shout out to Captain Bowserman. He did such a fantastic job stepping in behind Chief Wiles and keeping everything moving. We didn't lose a beat over there. His entire command staff with, at the time, Lieutenant Rennie and Lieutenant Simpson working with Captain as the interim chief. They did a fantastic job of keeping everything running, and the chief is a huge, huge job. And as Bill's learning, we couldn't be more appreciative for the calm, steady leadership that Captain Bowserman provided to the department and to the township during that time. But it sure is good to see Chief Rennie in that position so that we can move forward. We've done a great job of filling those positions, but it's a challenge. And if we don't get the contract settled, MERS contributions are 17.29% for the employee side come January 1st. It makes it really tough for us to recruit new officers, and that's a challenge. We'll have 4 retirements by mid-year. And again, we've told you guys probably 13 retirements in the next 3 years. So recruiting and retention of police officers is going to be a challenge for us. We've got to get the MERS defined benefit pension plan taken care of so that we can make sure that we continue to get the excellent officers like you saw this evening keep coming into our department and working with their new chief. I think it helps a lot that we have that steady, stable leadership with Chief Rennie. The Parks and Rec Director position is still vacant. We had it narrowed down to 5 candidates, then down to 4. After further review, we sent out the questionnaire for them to answer to get prepared for the interviews that are scheduled for this Thursday afternoon. 2 of them dropped out at that time. Not unusual as you go through these recruitment processes. We have 2. We will conduct the interviews on Thursday afternoon. Clerk Robertson has graciously agreed to participate in that panel, along with Captain Bowserman, who will also sit in on the panel to review the Parks and Rec Director positions. We do have 2 candidates, so we'll complete that at that time. If the consensus is that we feel like we may have found our candidate, then that will come to the board. If not, we'll open it back up and continue our search. In the meantime, Parks and Rec, they're used to running shorthanded since they've been a part of us. And they pulling off something like the holiday tree lighting that's going to occur this Friday. I don't know if the board fully appreciates the amount of hours and man hours that go in. Hats off to Mr. Sears and his DPW crew who assist. Interim Parks and Rec Director Senya Limata had during one of our bi-weekly staff meetings, she asked everybody to meet out there, and then the team stuck around for a couple of hours and helped decorate, put lights up, put trees up. So when you see this thing, and it's always amazing, and it gets bigger every year, the amount of work that goes into it with really such a small staff in that Parks and Recreation. It comes from the participation of everybody in the township. When you talk about that morale and that culture that we're trying to build here, that really highlights the fact when you see people come out, whether you're in assessing or you're in finance or you're in DPW, willing to step forward and help Parks and Recreation Department pull off this amazing community event. Again, shameless plug, it's free, get out. If you guys have never experienced it, come out. Last year, the fireworks were phenomenal. Hope you guys get a chance to come out and see it.
Mr. Limata, who put up the lights around the, I know who did it, but I'm just asking.
That was me on my lunch hour.
I don't know, around the perimeter of the roof line of this building. It looks absolutely spectacular. If you drive by here at night, you can actually see there's a building here now. And those lights, they look like they're architectural lights almost, in that they just really outline the frame of this building. But I don't know if anybody recognized, but those lights are all our colors for our logo. And they're in a special sequence that somebody had to go through and arrange all those bulbs, but it looks absolutely phenomenal, whoever did that.
Thank you to Mr. Sears and his team. And Jeff, do you want to mention who the actual guys were who created that?
Actually, last week they volunteered to do it. We had a short week for Thanksgiving, and technicians Brian Alf and Dan Hayjack and Bob Stuckwich and Matt Rogers all got up on the roof, and yes, they did screw in every light bulb on the strands, and they got creative on installing the lights. We actually bought them last year, but we ran out of time. We couldn't put them up, so.
They're in a specific order, too.
They are,
just random.
absolutely.
You look at that, and there's a pattern to them, and it takes some
They
work.
did a really good job, and they wanted to do it, so we're happy for that.
If you haven't seen him, you'll see him when you walk out of the building this evening.
Looks wonderful.
Very good.
And maybe those same guys can help us light that water tower. I want it lit down
We're
there.
working on that too.
I don't know if anybody's seen the water tower on, it's on the Tech Village property, just south of Baldwin Road and 75. And it looks spectacular with our logo on there. I actually did see last week down in Novi, and I've seen it numerous times, but there is a water tower on 96 near Novi, has Adel, A-D-E-L-L, on the side of it, and it is lit up at night. And you can see that thing for miles around, so
Absolutely.
So maybe those guys can help us do that.
Maybe. I'm sure they can come up with something.
Speaking of Tech Village, on the economic development front, the property at Tech Village has been purchased by a group of local developers. We're meeting with them tomorrow at noon, and announcement to follow, but the Tech Village project is moving forward. We won't steal their thunder. We'll allow them to come out when they're prepared and announce who they are and what they're doing, but their vision does follow the conceptual plan that Grambling Township put forward. So we're excited about that. We also spent a little bit of time splashing through the mud out in Grambling Enterprise Park, showing off one of the parcels out there, and we were able to see the progress that's happening at the Fessler Bowman World Headquarters. They're putting up gigantic slabs of concrete that will put up the walls. So while it may not look that much different than when we had the whole board out there at the end of July, if you drive by it in a couple of days, those big slabs go up in a hurry. How many tons does each one? 100 tons for each one of these slabs. They have a massive crane that pulls it up and puts it into place, and they build the walls like that quick. So pretty impressive. You're going to be able to see that as you go through. But what an amazing, exciting time for economic development. We have, a company here taking a look at 80 acres. Whether that works out or not, we were able to showcase Grambling Township, who we are and what we have going on here. And then with Tech Village and news of Tech Village. So really exciting time for Grambling Township.
We can't drive by there, the road's closed.
I assure you, you can drive through there.
So that's the real question, Mr. Sears. When is Genesee County Road Commission opening that road? That's the $60 million question. December 9th? If the weather cooperates, right? Okay, very good.
Is a motion to adjourn in order, Mr. Supervisor?
It is.
And I will make that motion, Mr. Supervisor.
Second.
Second by Kilmer.
Just a note here, we do have a state representative here, Dave Martin here. Yeah. So,
Okay.
thanks for joining us this evening, Representative. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
We are adjourned at 8:25 PM.
Wow. Yes.